Hi, my name is Zach Poole. This is my video recording for the Adolph Coors case study final project for Management 4513. In the brewing industry, there were 6 major brewing companies that were successful throughout this time period. And Coors, in fact, was one of those 6 breweries. Now, Coors was one of the breweries that was able to make it through the consolidations of World War II. With the economy booming and it doing so well, they were able to use excess money to put back into their companies. And Coors specifically used that money for advertising, and they did this through magazines, TV ads, and radio. And that money was very important to put back into the beer and promotion of their product. The Silver Bullet was an important campaign in 1985, and that attributed to almost 40% of their income in that year. And materials at this point were not hard to come by, and so what Coors decided they needed to do was to be more sustainable, more self-sufficient. And so what they decided to do was to actually make their own canning facility, their own aluminum facility. And in 1985, they actually produced 14% of the aluminum that they needed for that year, and their ultimate goal was to make 1/3 of the cans that would be needed for production. And so and a few other ways that they were able to be more self-sufficient was that they had all their own malting equipment. They had 75% of their own packaging equipment for all of their kegs, bottling, and canning, and they also had 90% of all of their brewing, manufacturing equipment, which is very, very important. When Prohibition came along, Coors had to find a way to stay above water and to keep earning money. And so what they did was they just found alternative ways to do that. They did that by manufacturing food products, oil and gas, and even porcelain. And at that point, they just had to do something to keep their head above water. At this point, or later on, when Prohibition was repealed, the way that the packaging was much different than it was beforehand. It used to be bottles and kegs, but it was moving more towards canning and some bottles, because the bottles were overweight. But it was much more convenient now that people were wanting to drink at home, that they were able to use cans. And kegs were obviously used at pubs and taverns when people would go out to drink, but the movement was towards drinking more at home. And so that is why cans became such a big deal, easy to transport, very lightweight. And there were actually several different sizes of cans that you were able to purchase. Coors wanted a better tasting beer, and this is a way that they made their very unique product. Was that they decided, in order to do this very unique beer, they were going to not pasteurize their beer, which gave it a better taste, made it very, very, very unique compared to whatever else was on the market. In 1975, they were very regional. They only had 11 companies out west that they supplied to, and the original brewery was in Golden, Colorado. And it was limited availability. Bootleggers were known to take Coors and take it across state borders and sell it for much more than it would be sold for in the original 11 states. This means that the beer is non-substitutional, which is very important for Coors to make a product that cannot be replicated. And it is hard to be successful in the brewing industry. Even now, there aren't many new entrants into the brewing industry. There are some few microbrews that are successful, but mostly it's still the prominent Miller's, Anheuser-Busch, and Coors companies that were prominent in the 70s as well. And beer has been incorporated in everyday life. Beer is drinking at almost all sports events. Even people have beer for dinner. They drink beer when they celebrate birthday parties. It's just an everyday occurrence in our life here today for most people. So if I was a consultant for Coors, what I would do is tell them at that point in time just to stick what has gotten you here to this point today, and that is keeping yourself unique. In that at that point in time they had 2 options. Those 2 options being, one, pasteurize your beer and be very similar to what else is on the market. Their second option was to not pasteurize your beer, and which made it difficult for retailers, because they had to monitor their stock, and they had to monitor the time also, because it would go bad after a certain amount of time, so it was very hard to deal with, but they were able to, and they wanted to deal with that problem in order to have a unique item on the market. And so those were their two choices, and I believe that Coors definitely did the right thing by making their product unique and making it very unsubstitutional. And with that, I believe Coors has done a great job so far. They're obviously one of the most prominent beer organizations in the world today, and that will be the conclusion of my video presentation.